If you've ever been in love with someone who turned out to be a complete monster, smash that like button right now, because what I'm about to tell you will make your blood boil and your heart race. When my fiancé's hand connected with my face in front of his entire family for being 20 minutes late, I didn't just walk away with a bruised cheek. I walked away with his family's deepest secrets, his mother's hidden bank accounts, and enough evidence to destroy everything he held dear. And if you stick around until the end, you'll see exactly how karma served them, a dish so cold it made the Arctic look tropical hit. Subscribe because trust me, you don't want to miss how this story ends. Let me paint you a picture of the life I thought I was living. My name is Delilah. And for 18 months, I believed I was dating Prince Charming. Tristan was everything I thought I wanted: tall, successful with those piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through me. He worked as an investment banker at one of those prestigious firms where everyone wears suits that cost more than my monthly rent. When he proposed to me on a yacht overlooking the Manhattan skyline, I thought I was living in a fairy tale. The ring was so big it practically had its own zip code. And I remember thinking this was it. This was my happily ever after. But you know what they say about fairy tales, right? They never tell you about the thorns hidden beneath the rose petals. Looking back now, I can see all the red flags I ignored because I was so blinded by the glitter of his world. The way he'd correct my grammar in front of his friends, claiming it was for my own good. How he'd suggest I wear different clothes when we went to his company events, saying he wanted me to fit in better. The subtle comments about my job in marketing, how it wasn't quite as important as his work in finance. I brushed it all off because when it was just the two of us, he could be so charming, so attentive. He had this way of making me feel I was the only person in the world that mattered. His family was old money. The kind of wealth that doesn't scream, but whispers, in designer fabrics and understated luxury. They owned a mansion in the Hamptons, had a wine collection worth more than most people's houses, and spoke in that particular dialect of the ultra-wealthy where every conversation somehow circled back to who they knew and where they'd traveled. I was nervous about meeting them because I knew I didn't come from their world. My parents were middle class through and through. My dad worked construction. My mom was a schoolteacher. Good, honest people who taught me the value of hard work and integrity. But in Tristan's world, that wasn't enough. It was never going to be enough. The day everything changed was supposed to be special. Tristan's grandfather was turning 80, and this wasn't just any birthday party. This was a full-scale family reunion at their estate. Think sprawling gardens, a staff in white uniforms, and enough flowers to make a botanical garden jealous. Tristan had been talking about this day for weeks, emphasizing how important it was that I make a good impression on the extended family. He'd bought me a dress, not asked me to pick one, but bought one and presented it to me like it was a gift, when really it was a uniform he expected me to wear. That morning started like any other, but the universe had different plans. A crisis at work kept me tied up longer than expected. One of our biggest clients was threatening to pull their account unless we fixed a campaign issue immediately. I'm talking about my career, my livelihood, and I couldn't just walk away. By the time I finished putting out that fire and rushed home to change, I was already running behind. Traffic was a nightmare. My hands were shaking as I applied my makeup in the car at red lights, and with every passing minute, I could feel Tristan's disappointment growing like a storm cloud on the horizon. Walking into that mansion felt like entering a courtroom where I was already guilty before the trial began. The moment I stepped through those towering oak doors, conversations stopped mid-sentence, and 30 pairs of eyes turned toward me like spotlights. The silence was deafening. You know that kind of quiet that's so thick you can practically taste the judgment in the air. That was my welcome committee. These people didn't just look at me, they dissected me with their stares, taking inventory of everything, from my slightly windblown hair to the designer dress that Tristan had chosen, as if they could calculate my worth down to the penny. Tristan appeared beside me instantly, and I could feel the heat radiating off his body. Not the good kind of heat, but the kind that comes right before a volcano erupts. His smile was perfectly practiced for the audience, but his fingers dug into my arm with enough pressure to leave marks. Through gritted teeth he whispered, "Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is?" His voice was so low that only I could hear.